Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting. And we'll get started here. I think it's 10:10. So we'll call to order. So first up is approval of the agenda for today. Does anyone have anything to add to today's agenda? No? Mark?
I don't know if it's on here, if I saw it. I thought we should discuss the safety protocol they put over at King Edward Park Arena with the sliding gate, to get everybody's take on that.
Do we want to add that to accessibility concerns from the public section?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'd like to approve the agenda for today then. Mark, I saw your hand first. Saw Colleen's second. Okay. All in favor? All right. We've approved the agenda. And then attached are the minutes from our last two meetings. We had an official meeting on August 14th. And as well, there's meeting notes from our September 11th subcommittee meeting that we had. Is there any additions, corrections, errors?
I move to approve the minutes.
Linda, second. Thank you very much. We'll approve those minutes. We'll move on to our business then. First up was accessibility plan, that the committee reviewed the accessibility goals developed at the September 11th, 2020 subcommittee meeting for information. So what we did is we went through all of the feedback that we had in our August 14th meeting, and we sort of teased out common themes and picked some to put as our goals. So if you look back, it's listed as page 28 of 28 of your agenda. What we decided on is to have an overarching vision. So the vision is that all people in Brighton, regardless of age and abilities, have barrier-free access to full and equal participation in the community, including opportunities for work, shop, travel, and play. Does anyone have any feedback on that vision or any changes to it? Okay. So then what we did for the rest of the goals is that we put them into the sections as listed in the AODA. So then it's listed with customer service, information and communication, employment, accessible transportation, and accessible public spaces. So then each one of these would be sort of a goal area. And then in a year from now, we would look back at these goals and sort of try and report on each one with staff's assistance to sort of determine what has been done in each of those areas. Does anyone have any thoughts about things that are maybe missing or should be added? Or does it look good?
I think it accurately represents our conversation of that day, and I think it looks really good. I'd like to do a little bit of wordsmithing to it, although I didn't get a chance to do that before the meeting, and I don't think it's a wise way to spend the time during the meeting. So would it be all right if I just do a few edits and send it back to you? Just
As long as that's okay with the committee, that we do a few just wordsmithing things to it, but then the content is still the same.
I don't think any of the content needs to change. Just a few of the wordings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Could do that as a motion if you want to approve the wordsmithing by Karen, and to report back at the next meeting with the updated version, or do you want to do it like that? Or
I think my only thought is I don't want to keep putting it off and putting it off to bringing it to staff. It would be nice to be able to say, yes, this is approved, maybe with a few grammatical fixes from Karen, and then with everyone's consent, it gets passed to staff, so then they can operationalize it for next year's budget, and then, yeah. Does that make sense to everybody? Mary's got her hand up.
It makes complete sense, but I was wondering, Karen, is this going to take long to actually make some corrections or to do a bit of work on it? Because I'd like to see it without anything, amended, because we can't really approve it until it's proper. So I would just, unless there's going to be a lot of work to change it's not anything that's going to change the whole, it's just some words that you want to.
I don't intend to change any of the content at all. Am I on this now, right? Okay. Nothing substantive, no substantive changes to it except just a few wording changes. I wished I'd had time to do it before the meeting, but I mean, if everyone's happy with it with the way it is, that's fine.
I would like to get it done, excuse me, through you, Chair. So if it's not going to take very long and the committee agrees to go forward with that, let's get it done and get it out there.
Do you mean take the time during the meeting to make the changes? Could we maybe leave it to the end of the agenda and see if we have enough time at that point? Because we've got a pretty heavy agenda, do we not?
I don't think it's that bad.
No, it's not.
I don't think it's that bad. I think we have time.
Okay. So should we take a minute to?
So we'll go through each one?
Yeah.
Yep. So for customer service, provision of accessible quality customer service. Actually, I don't need to read it. We all have it, right? Right.
So I would say that customer service, point number 1, supported through continued development and improvement of municipal forms.
Sorry, what are you changing on that?
So continued development. So
Instead of continue to develop, continued development.
right. So if you say the
You are a wordsmither, aren't
a
you?
little bit. So I mean, if this
Yep.
supported through continued development and improvement of municipal forms, applications, and permits. And then number 2 would be supported through municipal customer service policies and procedures that support barrier-free interactions, and supported through municipal leadership to individuals. Did you get that, Tom?
Last one, sorry.
Supported through municipal leadership. And the rest of the sentence is fine. Okay, let's see. So then for information and communication, it's supported through accessible internet signage, that's right, and supported through preparation and implementation. That sounds right. Employment, supported through provision of individual employee accommodation plans. It's perfect. Accessible transportation. Let's see. And maybe we could, for under accessible transportation, add that little phrase, supported through at the end. Right, and then say expanded transportation options. Okay, the last one says greater accessibility into, within, out of, and around municipality of right facilities, parks, trails, and public supported through so this is what we talked about, this Brighton as a walkable community. So supported through, how about Brighton being a walkable community? And then number 2, supported through all projects coming to the Accessibility Committee. And number 3 is supported through accessibility standards that are integrated into all public spaces. Sorry, I'm anal. Sorry, I'm a little bit.
That's a good thing. I think every committee needs
every
that
committee
person.
needs somebody like me. Oh yeah. Thank you very much. Just for the flow of the reading of it. That's all. So otherwise, I think otherwise, I have to say that the content is excellent. So.
Well, you helped develop.
Well.
So if everyone's in agreement, we could put a motion forward that this is going to be the Municipality of Brighton's multi-year accessibility plan for, do you want to say 5 years? And then do a report every year? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. 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 So we can put a motion forward that says, or, mm-hmm. Yep. Yep, that the committee approve the goals as amended for the multi-year accessibility plan. From 2020 to 2025 with a review every year.
In October?
Yes.
I know.
Would anyone like to put forward that motion? Mark put his hand first. Oh, Mark put his hand first. Karen seconded. All in favor? All right, so that's carried. Woohoo! So yes, so that can be brought towards staff, and then they will operationalize it with individual goals underneath, and then yeah, we can go from there. Okay. Question about our previous accessibility plan then. Will staff take a look at that to review that to see what needs to be done, like move that forward into this one?
Yeah, I think that'd be the right.
Okay.
The right procedure there. I'm wondering if we need to make a motion on that too, just to distribute the new goals and visions, and for them to develop the work plan based on the 2018 plan and the new goals and visions, or something like that. Do we want to, or can you just basically? You think it's okay for me just to go ahead and do that based on your approval of the goals and visions?
Yeah, because I don't think we're supposed to be telling staff how to
No.
proceed,
It's-
right?
it's
Whereas if
ultimate-
you bring it forward as deputy clerk and the accessibility liaison,
Yeah, that should be fine.
is that good enough?
And I mean, ultimately, it's submitted by staff
Yeah.
anyway in the end. So,
Yeah.
I guess,
And then it'll also go through our minutes to
Yeah.
council, so.
and then so basically the next meeting will review what has transpired from that staff discussion. Then.
Yep.
Okay.
Karen had her hand up.
Will this be presented to council?
It will come through as approval of the minutes of accessibility, and Mark or I or both of us can speak about this at that time. But I I wonder if, I don't know how we go about it, but this should be posted, and I think there is something in the mandate that this has to be posted at every municipal property, so what do you think about that, Tom? How do we go about that?
As far as I know, I think we're required to post it on our website for sure. Do we need to post the full plan? I don't know. I'll look into that, but definitely on the website.
And we go back to the same problem as always, sorry, Chair, that there's a lot of people that don't have computers and they don't go on the website.
I mean, we can definitely make it available. There's not, it's not too much to ask to print off a copy for each location.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
This in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's people out at the Codrington Hall, for instance, that, should be updated on this. Mark sits on that committee, don't you? And Mark could bring it to their attention at the next meeting so that people are more aware of what the goals are.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many other places, but at least the municipal, like the curling club and the arena and Public Works, both places, fire department. Okay.
If I recall, we talked about maybe using the mailed out property bill as a place to send information. Is that something that would be an option?
So I touched base with our economic development manager because he handles like that type of communication, printing, and all that kind of thing. And we were thinking maybe he could come and speak to that at the next meeting. Final bills have already gone out and everything now anyway, so but we can look at like the February
Yeah.
edition, so then we can kind of get that plan in action if that works for you guys.
Yeah.
I think that should give us plenty of time.
Yeah, but excuse me again, but the problem with that is that most of the bills now are going out electronically, so
They are?
mine comes electronically now.
Mine too.
I was going to suggest for a hard copy, you could treat it the same as you do the Green Occupational Health and Safety booklet that has to be in every workplace, whether it's Codrington, here, any municipal building or workplace has to have that Green Occupational Health and Safety book. So you can have it in the same spot as you do that, and that's mandated. So put it in the same location. So if somebody needs to see either or, it's right there.
Good idea.
What about a press release? I think this is that important.
Sure.
How about maybe if the economic development staff member is going to come next meeting, maybe we could put it on the agenda for the next meeting to sort of talk about how to inform the public about it, and something like a press release could be part of that. Is that okay with everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there anything else on here then for the plan? All right, good. Thank you all very much for your work on this. I know it was a process to get going, but I'm glad we've got to this point so far. Okay, let me go back to the agenda here. See what else we've got. Next thing on the agenda is the 2021 budget. We usually do it in November, but I guess maybe they're asking for a little bit earlier this year to do a budget for next year. I know in the package that you had sent out, there was, you had just put in the amounts from last year, and I sort of had asked for an update for what we actually spent this year, which I know due to COVID, we didn't really do any advertising or any events.
So at the end of September, the committee had spent a whopping $672.87. So obviously well under the budget. But I guess the direction from council is to maintain 0% increase, so that 9,642 would be sort of the ceiling, and then you can move it around within there, but kind of keep it to about that number.
That doesn't include honorariums, though, does it? To the committee?
That what's been spent so far? It
Yeah.
does actually,
Because
yeah.
but Judy's amount was higher than that. So I think we've spent more than that.
Okay, I'll have to look into that. That's all that's showing on here. I wonder if that got expensed on a different account.
Yeah. It could be, because I think we were using that as part of our training and education,
Okay.
to have her come and speak.
Okay, let me look into that then. It might have, because it was staff
The
training
last
too.
page. Oh, sorry, I'm still on.
I'll follow up on that.
Does anyone have any recommendations or thoughts for a budget next year? Or do we want to propose that we keep it the same? Mark?
I think we almost have to, because we're aiming for a 0% increase. So I think all committees are being asked, or at least to look at maintaining the same. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think anything that's left in any committee's budget will not go into reserves. It goes into the contingency fund, which doesn't mean that you can't access it. If you need to, you can request council to utilize the contingency fund. So anything that's left over doesn't get highlighted as. But we talked about it at, I can't even remember what committee it was. I've had 6 this week. I think it was events. And they're going to request whatever's left over from the events. It goes into the contingency fund, but note that the event committee, well, you were there, Tom, that we highlight how much we put in there so that if we did put in a request for some, they know how much was put back in. I would recommend this committee do the same.
Yeah, I think the idea there was just, like you said, sort of to highlight the actual unused amount in our minutes. And then it's just kind of like a reference point that if for some reason we needed additional funds next year, the committee required, like above and beyond the actual budget for like a specific event or something like that, that you could kind of say, hey, look, this is what happened last year.
Probably that's all we need, instead of earmarking each thing that went into the contingency fund as community events, Applefest, accessibility, and on, because our minutes show what was left over because it was a year that we couldn't do the same things we usually do. But I think it's wise to put a note in there that because of the conditions of this year, we were unable to do some of the things that we had planned to do.
No, that makes sense to put that note in.
Yeah, and that, we, like everybody else, has had to be creative. And I just put this out. I'm not offering the digital archives people service, but it would be worth approaching them, because I think they did a wonderful job of Canada Day, if anybody saw it. Did you see what they did for Canada Day?
Mm-hmm.
And they're working now to do something because of COVID with November 11th and the night before. It would be at least, I think, worthy to talk to them to see if maybe we could do, if this is going to remain, which it looks like it will, do something virtual, say, and I don't want to point you out totally, Linda, but you do represent what we were trying to achieve here. So if they did something viral with Linda going around and showing what it's like to be Linda, or maybe what it's like to be some of your clients. I think sometimes that has more effect than, we did that one downtown, Nicole, you were around with me, but only the people that were downtown when we did it. Right? They dressed me up like a stroke victim.
That was me. You can thank me.
Yes, thank you. I thought I was going to die before I got that stuff off
Yeah.
me. It was heavy going.
I was thinking maybe even having that for next meeting's agenda as well, to do planning for an accessibility event in the spring of next year. Usually May is whenever it's accessibility advisory week. So it'd be nice to sort of start some ideas flowing and planning for that. And if we want to go a digital route for this year, then that might be a really good resource to help us out with that. So
I'm only bringing this forward because of the budget.
yeah,
I want to protect our budget.
yeah, yeah.
So
Linda?
If anybody asked me and wanted to go around town, I would show them around town because I think there's a few more people than myself here in the last couple of years. There's many more people on scooters than were here before.
they're just jealous of you, Linda. They don't want to be like you.
I make my way around, that's for sure. But, sorry. Vivian, I don't know if you all know Vivian. She was down on the Moby mats this summer and she said they worked very well. She went down to the beach. Until the last time she went down, there was a pile of sand at the bottom of the Moby mat. And she just turned around and came back because she didn't want to get stuck in that Moby mat. You don't know, Vivian has no legs from her knees down. So if she got caught somewhere, it would be very hard for her to get around.
Well, as long as that's okay with everybody else, we'll put sort of making plans for an accessibility day on our next agenda. Any other thoughts about budget? Are we okay to leave it as it is with a note of saying once, I guess, I don't know if we can do that now. If we don't know what the actual amount spent was.
Well, what I've just noted here, because of that reason that we don't know the exact value, that the committee noted due to the COVID-19 pandemic that there may be a need to request additional funds for awareness in 2021. Something like that. And it's just a note. It's not a motion or anything,
Okay.
but it's in the minutes.
I think so.
Okay.
Any other thoughts or notes on the budget? Or are we ready to put a motion forward? Oh, Mark's got his hand up.
My esteemed colleague, Councillor Tadman, mentioned digital archives. See how I suck up to you, Mary? Tom can speak to this. They came and presented before the events committee, and I think they'd be a great tool to utilize to showcase Brighton. And they might reach out to this committee because they're reaching out to others because they're looking at purchasing a drone, and they're going to get the licensing, and to enhance the way they showcase Brighton. So somewhere down the road, if we want to work with them, we can invite them here if they end up getting it, if we want to help them with it, and then they can showcase Brighton in an accessible way from the ground level and above. Maybe at a future meeting they can come, because they could explain it a lot better than I could. They presented, two of them came to our meeting on Tuesday.
Was that digital archives? Sorry?
It's that
Who
Brighton
was it
Digital
that-
Archives,
yeah,
yes.
okay.
Thank you. I think it's a great idea, and we probably have lots of time now to invite somebody that represents that committee, even if Fletch isn't available. But I don't know who came. Ralph and Fletch? Okay. Yeah, and Ralph is amazing at what he can do. But it takes the hours that it takes to edit something like that. Like those people deserve a lot of credit. There's hundreds and hundreds of hours that they've volunteered without 1 cent going into their pockets. So, but do we want to invite them to come and tell us more, since that may be something we'll want to do?
Part of me wonders if maybe we should meet first to come up with ideas of what theme we want and what we want to do, and that it might be more productive to meet with them to see if they have ideas to work with that, versus doing it the other way around where they can tell us what they can do, then we come up with an idea, then we meet with them again to figure out what works. That make
Whichever
sense?
way the committee, it doesn't matter to me, but they pretty well can accommodate any ideas. So whenever you want to have them come to speak, I think you would enjoy that. just see how much they can actually encourage the whole municipality in many ways. That they don't just do that; they also do the histories of different, older people that have got a real history of Brighton. So it's just a thought.
Thinking about series, what accessibility means to me. Anyways, okay, so for budget, anyone want to put forward a motion to accept the budget for next year as is printed? Colleen, okay. Second? Mark? All right. All in favor? Okay, then we'll bring that budget forward. So moving on, 6.3 is accessibility checklist or audit form. When Tom, Karen, Mary, and I met in August, Karen had talked about it'd be really nice if we had a form or something to follow when someone brings plans to us and says, "Is this okay?" And I know it tweaked in my brain, and I was like, I know we've talked about this on the committee before. And I had to go through my memory. And actually, it was only 2 years ago, so it's pretty sad that I couldn't quite remember that. We've also gone, it was when Vicky was around, so we've gone through a bunch of clerks as well. So on your tables are 7 principles of universal design. And this was something that we did discuss at the committee. So, and it's got Municipality of Brighton logo on it. Label and everything. So I didn't know if we wanted to look through that. Is this something that would help us when someone comes with plans to sort of make a checklist of things?
I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. You two sound sneaky for some reason. Vicky did a lot of work towards this and a lot of research with other municipalities, so I think it's a great idea too.
Like to me, versus instead of going and finding other checklists and comparing it to this and figure out what we want, I like the thought of having this in play. And I mentioned to Tom about having some sort of database to keep them going. And then when someone comes, one of us could fill it in as they go, see if there's anything missing on here, and then decide if this is what we want to use.
I obviously didn't attach it yet because we wanted further review, but I can attach it to the minutes. And if you guys want to make a motion to accept that as the audit checklist.
We'll let our document checker look over it.
I'd like to spend more time with this document.
I guess the thought is, do you want to wait and then we'll approve it next month? So it gives everyone time to look it over. Does that work? And we'll have it on the agenda for next month.
I think that's a good idea. I think what another good idea is if we could find somebody in town to actually, like a business, to actually do this with. Not in any way in a punitive way, but find some fun business owner who would enjoy going through this process. I can think of somebody, and then that would also give us an idea of how it actually works in real life.
I think that's a fabulous idea. I think we should task Karen to do that and report back at the next meeting.
Would you like a motion?
Do we need a motion for that?
He is in the process of moving. But she did offer.
I would be available to do that sometime after November 5th.
Oh. So do you have...
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Okay.
What does everybody want to think? Do we want to table that till November to do a trial through it? Yeah. So we can bring it back in December to discuss again. Okay.
Are we meeting in November?
Usually once a month, yeah. Okay. So then what we will do is we will leave it for everyone to review. We'll do a trial, and if you want me to come with you to do it, you can let me know.
The more the merrier.
And then we'll report back in December about the audit checklist. Okay? Do we need a motion for that?
Well, I just to get into the minutes, because I'd like to attach it to the minutes, so maybe we just say that the committee review the accessibility audit checklist just as distributed,
Mm-hmm.
and discuss it for discussion of it.
Mm-hmm. Next meeting, the December meeting. Yeah. Yeah.
When is our November meeting?
Well, that's something we have to talk about. We could just talk about it now or at the end.
Let's just say next meeting in the minutes, and then we'll do that discussion about next meeting. Okay?
All right.
Makes my job way easier on the back.
Yeah.
I don't have to review my scribble.
I remember I was saying that to Vicky, just saying, how I can't believe they, or even Patrick, I can't believe you don't have like a computer to bring to email to it. Okay, we're going off script.
Yeah, I'm like, well, this is this too. The new lights at the court.
Can we table that into accessibility concerns
Sorry, yeah.
from the public?
Yep.
Can we move that there? Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Okay, but I'm putting your name down so we know to come back to that. Sorry, I don't have my phone on, I don't think. Okay, so are we finished with the checklist audit form? Okay, we'll move on to reports. 7.1 is accessibility in COVID-19 service protocols. So I think Tom is going to report on that one.
So, reading through the minutes of the last meeting, there was the note about the functionality of the north entrance door, the Dundas Street entrance. So we did follow up on that. It is fully functional. There is a need for an improvement on the transition, as far as I can tell, just passing over. But this is our main entrance for service during the pandemic. So that's why I kind of titled this Accessibility and COVID-19 Protocols. And also just to kind of discuss, how people are feeling about that entrance being the main entrance from accessibility standpoint, as well as the other part of our protocol is to bring contractors and committees through this rear entrance as you guys entered today. So also to kind of put that up onto the table for discussion, just to see how people are feeling about that. Obviously noting that accommodations are available upon request at any time, but just in general, sort of what the sense of from an accessibility perspective is on that.
And I think also we've put a request in for modifications to the Dundas Street door, right? But we haven't heard anything back on that?
Well, I was getting really excited for a minute because I got a response back that they requested additional information. So I thought, oh, that's promising. Usually they don't get in touch with you unless they kind of are looking at it. That was about a week and a half ago now, and I haven't heard anything since. I was really kind of hoping to get a little bit better news for you guys, but sort of a promising development along that line. And that would cover a complete accessible entrance with widening that door as well. Because that was something that, like, it is functional, but it's not, doesn't meet the full width as it's been revised now. So I'm going to follow up on that later.
Question,
Yep.
is this door entrance, is this just during COVID? And then once the sort of pandemic era ends, it goes back to how it was before? Or is this a permanent?
Well, it's sort of a moving target, right? I mean, we don't know exactly how long this is going to last or anything, but I think the goal is for, if people are sort of allowed to enter at will, that we would go back to the main entrance being downstairs. And part of that grant proposal that we put in was to make this door at the top of the stairs also accessible, so that, and then the traffic would basically come through the front entrance. You could either use the elevator or come up those stairs to an accessible door, and then there would be like sort of one department and the other department. So everything's very logically accessible. But as I said, it's a moving target. Like, it's kind of, we'll have to see how things develop.
Has anyone had feedback from community members on the Dundas Street entrance or anything for accessibility within the municipal buildings right now? Other than the arena, which we'll discuss in a little bit.
The one thing, if we were trying to push for that to be accessible, that's a big job, because, for instance, Linda, even if the doors were sliding doors and wide enough, there's not enough room there for her to navigate once she gets inside the door. So as long as I believe, as long as we are letting the public know, those who need to come, as Linda did this morning, then I think we're safe, because that would be a major expense, and I don't know that we need to, like you say, it's a moving target. This time next year we might be back to normal, I hope, but probably not, but maybe. But so it's one of those things that I personally as a councillor wouldn't be pushing for, as long as we don't have problems. And did you have any problems today, Linda?
No, because Tom met me at the regular doors
Right.
and brought seen to me for me to come up. The thing about the side door is it helps people that can't do stairs.
Yes.
So it's important to have that entrance open. I thought it was, when I heard about that door being open, I thought it was a good idea for people that can't do stairs.
Right. So through you, is there some way, and maybe Tom can think of it too, or our pro-worder here, is that a nice new word for you? We maybe need to put something in to make people aware that we definitely want to make all meetings accessible. So even if it's in our minutes, Mark or I could speak to it at council, and that way we could at least project it to our communications director, correct, to get it out there. That please, residents, if you, and this is your contact number, and please call if you wish to come into and this is, arrangements will be made. So that's an awful lot. I'm glad you can shorten that.
Can I say that if there's signs around this building to where people could enter in, would be a good idea, because some people in town that don't read the paper and don't have computers. I mean, really, I hear it all the time. So if it's at the front door, to say, just that big sign there is okay, but it should be that it's accessible, accessible to everybody to come in the side door. Something to let them know that they're still welcome. Thank you.
Is there signage out there now, Tom?
There's nothing noting accessibility specifically, but yes, there is the sign, as you noted, like on the front entrance that sort of directs people where to go. But that could be something that maybe we need to develop a sign.
There's an arrow.
Yeah.
There's no like, it can't be.
good point. Yeah.
Okay. We can leave that maybe with you, Tom, but maybe having signage out here saying municipal entrance this way or something. Hmm.
Thank you, Nicole. The only thing I would add to this whole conversation is the way that the library patrons now come in, but they can't go any farther. So in trying to develop something here that's going to be good for all residents that have any kind of accessibility issues, probably the CAO of the library should be informed so that she can tell her staff that, you know, so-and-so, I don't know how you communicate that, because it won't happen that often probably, but they should be aware that so-and-so is going to be coming with a scooter or whatever to, say, community events. It could be anybody. It could be anybody that is coming to speak with, you know, all kinds of problems, but very capable to be a consultant. So I don't know how you coordinate that, but at least Heather, who is the CAO of the library, should know the protocol, so that she would be able to tell staff to buzz up to Tom or whoever is responsible for that meeting, or even the CAO or the mayor or whoever. You know, if somebody comes to that door and, well, they'll get in because the library's open, so they should have all the protocol to contact whoever they need to. So I think that would be really handy.
Right now, the protocol basically is just, you know, go downstairs and let them know you've got someone coming, and then kind of like try to time it. But you're right, you know, there could be sort of a more efficient system put in place where someone's notified in some way instead of just sort of, you know, guessing at times and stuff like that. But
We haven't been open that long since this whole thing was declared, and I think there's different things that need to be flushed out. If I were a resident and had a really, you know, a real concern, and I needed to talk to the mayor or the CAO, I'm new to Brighton, what do I do? It doesn't even have to be somebody with any kind of a accessibility issue. So I think for all residents, but specifically in our case, because that's what we're looking at, is that there has to be a protocol set. Because I could go, you know, I can go out this door here and I could go downstairs, and they don't know that I don't want to use the library. I'm there because I'm really upset about something, and I need to speak to the mayor right now, you know, and there's people like that.
Yep, I know, I'm trying to think of how much of this is the council communication, like overall, versus accessibility. That's, I think, where my brain is like, okay, if we pair it back towards accessibility, and I guess maybe Tom, you can put that in your minutes and consider that for the protocols, how that, even just, you know, informing the library.
this would all have to go through our like emergency planning committee and all that kind of thing anyway, if we're gonna like add procedures and protocols. But I don't think it's all along the same lines of what, basically trying to provide access for people in a safe manner during this time. So
I also think maybe, Mark, this might be the good time to bring up the arena concern, because I know Diana spoke with me about it as well. So, yeah, I think you need your button on.
When I walked through all the hockey executive for those that want to participate, when we had the protocol set up, and it's great down there. One thing I noticed that they put one of those retractable gates on the accessibility viewing area, and there's a lock on it, and they want people to go up and ask to go in there. But I don't think that technically that you can do that. It's, they want to, because the way the arena's set up, we haven't been there. It's mandatory, no standing in the lobby. That's part of the protocol. And you come in one way and they exit back out past that. So that's why you don't want anybody standing there. But I don't think we can technically block that off per se as have it locked. If somebody wants to use it, they have to use it. It's not like you can walk up and say, why are you in there? So I think the lock in my opinion, the lock needs to come off, and we have to trust people that are in there, have a reason to be in there. And the protocol for the arena stands, it's marked out. After every group goes through, they have to go in there and sanitize the stands, and the next group doesn't come in until the arena staff gives them the thumbs up that the stands are sanitized. So they have to take that same approach with the accessibility area. Nobody could go in there until they're sanitized. So I say leave it unlocked and trust the people.
I'd agree. I think the lock and the gate were it's not very opening for someone who can't sit in the stands for accessibility needs. So that might just be a recommendation for the emergency protocols for the arena, that the accessibility viewing area remain open for those that need it. Mm-hmm. I think we do. Mm-hmm. Is everyone okay with that if it's an actual recommendation?
Yeah, because it doesn't really change anything. It's the sanitation protocols, everything will remain the same. For those that aren't aware, like every user group is supposed to function by the same. Hockey will have the most people going in and out, maybe followed by figure skating. The way it works is they're not allowed in until 15 minutes before their ice time, have to be out 15 minutes after. The second incoming group can get into their dressing rooms 15 minutes before, so there'll be one on the ice, some in the dressing room. The parents of the second incoming group have to circle right back out and go outside. They're not allowed to go out through and out the building technically. They have to be outside because the stands have not been sanitized, and the viewing area for the accessibility would be the same approach. Nobody would be allowed in there until that wave of people are allowed to go in, because the municipality or Jim Miller, the director, they purchased a handheld device that they go around and sanitize the stands, so they'll have to do the same for the accessibility area. Once it's sanitized, dried, then that next wave of people, the parents, grandparents, whoever, come in and take their seats. So leaving it unlocked is the right way to go, because whoever uses it, you have to assume that there's a need for them using it.
So do we need to put forward a motion for that one? Or? Okay. Yep. Yep. For public use? It's locked, and there's a big gate all the way across that with no signage to say accessibility viewing area closed, or if you need accessibility viewing area, please let staff know. There's nothing.
Like basically we want it to mirror
I'm not quite sure. I view it the same way as a handicap parking spot. We don't put gates across handicap parking spots. You're under the assumption that, people that park there need it. They have to have a sticker, and if they don't, that's slightly different, but it's not like you block them off and then make somebody walk into a store and say, can I use that spot? So just leave it open and trust the people that are going to use it need to use it. But if I could add to it, it's not just for that viewing area, but it ties into the COVID protocols. I know you're down in the arena quite a bit. Anybody that's down there, I think we have to keep an eye on the accessible washrooms, because the way the protocols are set up, your south entrance is for the arena facility, so i.e. hockey, figure skating, the Coal Creek Comets, pickup hockey, what have you, and the north entrance is for bingo or anything else that's community center oriented, and anybody that's using the community center must stick to the north and the others must stick to the south. So where it gets tricky is we got to make sure that people know that regardless of whether you're in the community center or the arena, that those accessible washrooms are still available to everybody. But I don't know if it's going to be written somewhere how you do it, because if you're in the the arena part, they have to remember you can access the accessible washrooms, but you have to exit the same way you came out. Pre-COVID, you could go into the accessible washrooms and go out the south door, the north door, and wander around, but with COVID protocols, you can't do that anymore, because if there's a function going on in the community center, they're doing their own contact tracing for their group, just like we're doing our own contact tracing for this group. So it's washrooms back in the door that you entered in. So I don't know if that's been marked out. Like, so let's say you're down at the arena watching hockey and you go into the accessible washrooms, you can't loop through the community center hallway and come back out. So.
But for contract tracing, they might have to mark that you've gone over to that side.
No, because you're not going into the community center. You're not participating in their function. And the washrooms are all being sanitized by the staff. It's just that you don't want people from one side using that washroom and then thinking, okay, I'm over here, I'm going to go see what's going on the other side of stuff, and walking into the community center, because then you're not on their contact tracing sheet. Like if somebody was in the community center for a function and then they used the accessible washroom and the door is right there, and they wander into the arena section, that's really breaking protocol, because they're not on our sheets, and vice versa, right?
So it could be as simple as just a sign on the table saying accessible washrooms are open, but please return the same way that you went.
Because the way we're doing it, I don't know if the other user groups, we've already sent our week's worth of sheets in, and there was probably 5 sheets. Well, you've probably been down there already. We're taking the names and numbers like everybody, but we're also doing it electronically to appease Hockey Canada and the OMHA, as well as the health unit. So we took it from the paper, and then it's being put into electronic form, so that if anybody needs to see it at any time, we can do it at a click of a button, and it's there like that. We've already sent off probably 6 pages to Mr. Miller already, and we do that weekly.
Okay, so back to the motion.
I've got an idea. So, because you could probably speak to this at the council meeting, maybe we could just sort of make it a bit more generic to say that the committee recommend council direct staff to review the COVID-19 protocol at the King Edward Park Community Center for accessibility concerns, and then all of those things could be spoken to, at once.
I think it might need to be a bit firmer
Okay.
to say that the accessibility viewing area needs to be open
Okay.
to anyone who needs it. Yeah, it might be something like the accessible viewing area should be open for anyone who requires it, as well as allow access to accessible washrooms.
And I don't mind speaking to it at council, because I don't view this season, when I say season, for anybody that's using that facility as any different than last year. The only difference is we have a COVID-19 going around, so there's protocols in place of, contact tracing, wash your hands. But everybody should have been doing that beforehand, and the spacing and stuff. But in terms of watching whatever's taking place on the ice surface, the only difference is it's marked out that you have to be 6 feet apart. Other than that, everything should remain the same. People that want to go watch it should be allowed to go in there and watch it without having to say, can you please take that lock off of there so I can get my chair in there. COVID hasn't changed that. COVID doesn't mean that you can treat people different, so.
So I'll put forward that motion if you want to put my name under it. Mary will second it.
Okay, so do you want to, like, to me, I feel like it should still be a full review of the.
Specifically having the accessible viewing area open for public, as well as the accessible bathrooms.
Especially around the signage. I don't know if you noticed, I was down there the other day just to do a walkthrough and took another executive member down, and it's not accessible. I guess it would be in a way, because if something happened, you'd want to get out. And you've been down there. For those that haven't, when you walk in the front door, we have our COVID table set up. So kids go to the right and down the dressing room hallway. And then they have to remain in their rooms and the masks and all that protocol. When they're done, they change, they come back out the other way and then out the door. Parents have to go to the immediate left in the stands. And we instituted no in and out policy, and they better be enforcing it. So once you're in there, I don't know if the other cruiser groups are doing it, we're not allowed any in and out. Once you're in, you leave, you're not getting back in. You can wait for little Johnny out in the parking lot.
I froze because I forgot to bring my blanket and I
Well,
wasn't allowed to
that's
go
what you
get
get.
it.
But when I was standing there and I was talking to one of the staff members, when you look down the hallway, just down from that accessible room, where that door had always said no players or no parents or anything, just players and coaches, there was an exit sign facing towards the lobby. So I pointed out to the staff member, you know, that exit sign should be on the other door. And it took them a moment, and they said, no, that's the exit. I said, but the loop to exit goes that way. So if you're in the lobby and you see that exit sign, people think that you can go that way to exit. Now you got them breaking the protocol and doing the wrong loop. So hopefully they haven't moved the sign. So it might even be good that if others did a walkthrough in there and see if they pick anything up. Because from an accessibility standpoint, it would be good to have them do that. From a COVID standpoint, seeing how the numbers are rising, it's best to make sure we're doing everything right now. Not right now, I mean doing it correctly. Because you never know if more changes are going to come. So if we do everything the way we're supposed to, that might limit something happening here that forces more change, right?
So how about we bring the motion forward and then you can speak to that at council? Okay? All right. I don't mind touching base with Jim Miller, just that we had discussed it and made a motion, if that might help make it sooner happen. Well, I don't mind just letting him know that we discussed it today as a concern and we made a motion for that, but just that we're concerned that someone's not able to use that viewing area. Okay?
I don't think they'll have a major deal with it, because the only thing that's really going to change for the staff that's working is that they'll have to sanitize that after every user group exits the ice. And when they sanitize the stands, they sanitize that. That's really the only thing that's going to change, and that's a good thing, that they sanitize it after every use, right? It'll just be, you know, one added step of the area where they have to sanitize, because all the other areas are blocked off to minimize the touch points. So let's just open that door and create that an everyday touch point, whether someone uses it or not.
Okay. So I know I've put forward the motion. Mary seconded it. All in favor? All right. Was there anything else for the COVID-19 service protocols, or covers it? Okay. Okay. we'll move on to an update 7.2 for sidewalk repairs. And that's you again, Tom.
It's pretty straightforward. I just got a verbal update from Preston, the Director of Public Works, that all tenders are currently being enacted right now. So they're doing the sidewalk repairs right now.
Even my kids noted, wow, they're doing a lot faster this year than they did last year. So that's a good thing that
Yeah.
they're moving along with them.
Yeah. So
I'm glad you had sidewalks on there. I brought it to the director's attention because I think it was an oversight and missed, and it's not regarding the new sidewalks, but the curb. We did all the curb painting, and I think it would be good, if the Veterans Way, it was missed with the yellow depth perception painting of the curb. So perhaps the committee can keep an eye on that, and then the committee could bring it up again if it's not done. I've already brought it up, so I prefer somebody else do it. And it was an oversight. They missed it, but they had promised they'd get it done. But I think they should, because that's the most important part. Almost well, same as Main Street, because that's the access point to Memorial Park, and COVID will be gone eventually. So we might as well have it done while the weather's still good.
Are you able to bring that up through, like, staff meeting? I don't mind sending an email to Preston, just sort of saying, hey, asking about it. Okay. 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 So I'll try and remember to keep an eye on it, and then if I don't see it in a few weeks, I will send an email just asking about it. Okay, is that all right with everybody? Mary's got her hand up.
Yeah, it's just that whole area there is utilized by a lot of people that have accessibility issues, and I think it sooner the better to get it done. And it's not a long street, so I don't think, I think, Nicole, it would be good if you spoke to them now. Get it done, because soon the paint won't dry. And I don't want to hear that as an excuse. Because when did they paint the rest?
Oh, you're talking back in July. Plus, we got to keep in mind, even though concerts in the park are taking place, those are our downtown accessible, unisex, everybody washrooms that are open right now. And you can't really see because it's the same color as the asphalt. So it's best to get it done sooner than later.
Okay, I can do that.
Thank you.
Anything else for sidewalks? I live on Sanford Street. I'm really excited to have sidewalks, even though it's a mess right now, but it'd be nice. Like the construction for it? September. And end of August, beginning of September, yeah. They started late, they said, and they're not sure if they're going to get it all done, but. Very nice. They're very helpful. They knocked on my door last week. This is a story. You probably shouldn't realize. Knocked on the door at like 7:30, just saying, it rained a lot last night. We're a little worried your car's not going to be able to get through the mud. Do you want to drive your car out just so if you get stuck, we can help you? So they're very nice. Yeah. We'll move on then for accessibility concerns from the public, number 8. And Linda, you were talking about the lights downtown.
I was just wondering why we had the new lights put in and there's no buttons for stopping the traffic going by, because we've talked about this. I was expecting buttons to stop the traffic so that everybody has a way of crossing the street safely, and there's nothing.
Sorry, I'm not sure, like, to stop all traffic so pedestrians cross. I don't know if that was ever part of a traffic plan.
We talked about it several times. It's the only way we're going to have a safe crossing at that crosswalk. Because you put your hand, I have a sign now, I put my hand out when I want to
Like you're talking
cross,
at
and I'm
Sobeys Main
standing
Street?
there from the, oh gosh, the east side to the west side, when I come into town, to cross there, yes, the Sobeys corner. You
Okay.
go to the Sobeys corner. Or you go to the Farmer Cross corner. I put my hand out to let people know, and I'm still sitting there, and they zoom in around. The passenger in the car says, sorry, sorry, and the guy's still driving, you know. But and then on the other way, you're going either way, north and south on the other way. The only way that we're going to have nobody almost hit is to have buttons to stop the traffic. And I'm sure we talked about this several times. No?
We've talked about it, but I think actual putting buttons to stop traffic, I don't think that was ever a motion or anything. Unfortunately, because it's such a busy area, it needs to go through a traffic study to do anything like that. I do agree, like, yeah, it's a scary area. I know I had a car behind me this morning honking the horn because I was waiting because I thought people were going to cross the road. And the guy behind me was like railing on the horn because I wasn't going right away. I was like, I'm waiting for pedestrians. So it is a scary area, and I think we can put it on our minutes that, again, it was brought up about concerns about safety. And it's not even an accessibility concern, it's everybody concern at that
Yes.
spot.
I'm just curious on, how do you stop the traffic though? Like if they both have the green light, you know, you'd be sure to like similar to the crosswalks for the school?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. See, I don't think that you can put that at a normal intersection.
They're coming from the west. They get the
Yep.
green light, right?
Yep.
They have the right of way. I understand that. But on the same time, the walk sign's up there, so I have the right of way. So that's why we're having this problem.
So you're talking more like
I'm saying,
a timing of the walk sign compared to the advanced green and stuff.
because like along at Perry Spot, there's a bad street, so I don't go across.
Yeah.
But then and you see it a lot for other people. People walk.
Sorry. Is it possible for this committee to make a recommendation to the police service board that they do a safety blitz on those concerned corners? Because under the Highway Traffic Act now, a car is not supposed to enter the intersection until pedestrians have crossed. So that's already in the Highway Traffic Act. Maybe it takes a safety blitz. Maybe, you know, the community police officers out there reminding people as they go that you can't do that and issue tickets if they do. Because you see it all the time. People will start to go, and even if someone's crossing, they'll be like waiting right there. That's technically against the Highway Traffic Act. You cannot enter until the person has safely crossed. So perhaps the police service board can do something with a safety blitz until such time they can come up with a solution of its timing, if it's possible.
And I'm sorry to say, a lot of people may not know that rule because it happens. I mean, I don't go into town that often, but it happens almost every time I come up. So it must happen to other people going the other directions. I just think that sometimes drivers just think, they have the right of way for every place. Sorry to say.
I think that the entire downtown, the way the lights are set up, is a challenge, period. It has been for a very, very long time. And in the summer, when we have a lot of people coming into town from out of town that are wondering, how do I get through this intersection? It's not like intuitive that you have to cross over, you know, and back and forth. And we know what it's like to drive through that intersection. For me, I could not believe the amount of traffic in downtown Brighton this summer. It was packed all the time, and people drive extremely fast. They don't know the setup of that little block, which is very unusual and unique. It doesn't actually, unless you've been here for a while, if it's your first time going through there, you have no idea. So, you know, I agree that it is kind of like a dangerous place, especially when there's a lot of traffic. My feeling is, and I don't know this for sure, but they've done traffic studies about how to time those lights, because the timing of those lights is crucial, because we've only got a short block there, and if they're not timed right, you're going to have people lined up into the intersection. Either way, anyway, this way, that way, the other way. Like it's a bit of a traffic nightmare. And, you know, this summer, the speed at which some people were driving through the downtown was extremely dangerous. You can't really cross Main Street in the middle of the block anymore, right, because of the amount of traffic and the speed that people are going. So, I mean, I hear what you're saying, Linda. I can't see there being any possibility to stop the traffic on any of those lights downtown, because they've got to be timed just so. And if you throw off one of the lights, then you've thrown off all the rest of the lights, and then you've got lineups going this way and that. Like it is a bit of a nightmare situation, I'll be honest.
I have
We
to
have
say,
lights at Terry Fox and Elizabeth, and there's almost always a line up back, almost to my driveway where I live along Elizabeth Street. So you're right about that. But there is at least a time where I have to cross. It's the same way as the traffic has to cross. I don't have to cross in front of the traffic, because you're right about that.
So what's the actual intersection, Main and Prince Edward?
And also Park Street. So it's Park and Prince Edward and Main and Prince Edward.
but the biggest one is, the biggest intersection is going the pedestrian crossing across Prince Edward Street at that corner where the crossing lady who needs a medal is.
That's what I was going to point out. Like, I've found her super helpful every time I go across that road. I'm like, thank you so much, because it feels so much safer. I'm like, is that something you can just implement all year round? Like, can we just pay someone to be there?
And she's back after being hit.
Yeah, she was hit there.
She was hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I like Mark's comment though as well about the police services, because I've never ever seen police there.
I would say that I also agree with Mark that it's not an issue of the timing as much as it is the drivers, and some sort of a safety blitz would be good, and perhaps designating one of those crossways as the accessible crossway. I don't know how you get like public, not just support, but just that they know to look out for people. I don't know. I love the idea of the drone hovering over that intersection all day and see what happens.
I've seen some where the parking things come up to block people if pedestrians are going, and then when the pedestrians are gone, they go down, and then cars can go. That would be awesome. Mark, you had a comment.
On the drones, you'd have to first check. There's a lot of no-fly zones in Brighton. But I would actually suggest, instead of the police service board, reach out to the police community service committee and see if you can get them actively engaged, because they meet on a regular basis and have a budget. So maybe that's something they could participate in. And since we're highlighting, if we're going to ask them to look at that, there's two other intersections in this town. One's an intersection, one's not, but probably does require a crosswalk. With a child now in grade 9 of high school, if you watch the masses of people that cross over from the high school to King Edward Park Arena, and sometimes during a school function, when they leave for gym class, you have a mass of 30 kids going across where there's no intersection. They walk across from the parking lot near the track. So that might be a place where, you know, from an accessibility standpoint too, because you don't want anybody getting killed. That is now an unnatural crosswalk, because the school even uses it for school functions, and the kids use it when they're on lunch. And the other intersection that you might want to look at some point, I don't know, whenever they did back in the day, the one in front of the Royal Bank, whoever picked where they put those lights is absolutely ridiculous. Because if you look at where the lights are, and if you're coming up off the Royal Bank and you turn right to go up Main Street, and then you're going to turn left to go down Veterans Way, and there's people parked there, sit in the park sometime and watch the number of people that get caught up in no man's land. Because if you're trying to turn left, now the people that are waiting to head the other direction towards Coburn, you're caught in no man's land, and everybody's coming up behind them are now going over into the parking spots and the handicap park around them. It would just be a matter of moving that one light somewhere else, but I'd leave that to the experts. But
There was
that's
a lot
another
of
trouble
complaints.
spot.
There was a lot of complaints about that when that cross were put in. Nobody saw a need for it. The one at the high school along Elizabeth Street, I brought up that crossing a while ago, that if we had a crossing at the end of the driveway to go over to the park would be the ideal place for the students to cross. The problem was, I was told it's too close to the one at Tyree Fox Crossing. You can't have it, this is what I was told, you can't have it that close to that light, to be that close along Elizabeth Street. But Elizabeth Street's very bad for high test, and people don't read the signs that it's a safety zone, and they zoom along and coming down Elizabeth Street. So yes, it's very difficult for when I mentioned about having a crosswalk there, and just temporary while they were fixing the football thing, when they were redoing the servicing of the football field, and they were taking everybody over there. That's when I recommended it, because the football field wasn't in use. But that's hindsight, sorry.
Okay, I'm just cognizant of the time, so maybe for our minutes, we could have those safety areas written down. Again, I'm not sure next steps because we are accessibility committee, not safety committee, although it is an accessibility issue. And I know I'd like to add Ontario and Main Street to the safety issues as well, because someone was hit there a couple weeks ago. So it's, especially with construction on Sanford, there's lots of trucks coming in and out there. There's a little Princess Street, and then there's Ontario Street, and it's hard to see with the trees. So yeah, that's Ontario and Main Street, where the YMCA is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe it's something that could be in our minutes, and then councillors can bring it forward at council.
Well, I was thinking maybe like Councillor LeBlanc is the council member for the community policing. Maybe we could approach him and see if it would be possible to do a delegation from the AAC to the community policing to speak to that. And then that
That's
might
a good
actually
idea.
push it forward a bit.
Okay. All right. Are we okay with that then, that plan for those safety issues?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other accessibility concerns from the public, Karen? Then we'll move on for Karen, correspondence.
Did we send a thank you letter to the our facilitator?
I don't think you did. That's a good idea.
I think it would be really, really nice feedback for her to see our accessibility plan and to just write a letter of thanks. Would that be possible to do it on municipal letterhead? And we could all sign it as a committee at our next meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Judy Gilbert. Mary?
I don't know about the rest of the committee, but I thought she did a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully all staff went back with some good recommendations for how we approach accessibility.
If you want, I can draft a letter and send it to you to print it for next meeting. Does that work? Okay. All right. Next meeting date. Sounds like you had something to say about that, Tom?
So a couple things along meetings in general, I guess right now, like, with the spikes or whatever is happening with COVID-19 and everything, and safety obviously being a concern for many people. Trying to figure out the best way to do committee meetings. I think there's a couple of options that might be more feasible than having them here. So number one is the community center. It's obviously more accessible. You can have space for public attendance, which means we would not have to stream and use microphones. But the only thing about that is it's booked pretty solid right now. It's pretty much the only community facility that groups can have meetings at right now, so it's pretty booked. So it would mean probably changing our day of the month. It sounds like Tuesday and Thursday mornings are pretty open. So I'm trying to give this as information. We don't have to make a decision right now, but just sort of put this forth to kind of like to think about. And I'm going to do the same for all committees, so it's kind of like just trying to get the best way to do this. The other option is, of course, to go back to Zoom. Obviously, that is the safest option because no one has to meet in person. You're not extending your bubble beyond where you want to, or that kind of thing, right? So those are sort of the two options that I think are the most viable for committees during this time. So I thought I'd just put it out there. You guys can we can talk about it now, or you can think about it and we can get back to me later.
I would prefer to go back to Zoom meetings, especially throughout the winter. That also gives Linda more accessibility of being able to attend from home. But I think this winter, we need to be extra careful. We need to be careful where we can. So if we can do it as a Zoom meeting, then that just takes one risk down.
I don't mind going back to Zoom meetings for committees. I want the council meetings, and I know that's not what we're talking about, to stay the way they are. And we spoke about it. Does it always have to be Zoom, or are you open to Microsoft Teams? Because I love that format so much better.
The only thing about Teams, I agree. I love Microsoft Teams. It's that you have to have Microsoft Office 365 in order to attend a meeting, as far as I know. And
You've already used it once, Councillor Tad. Might I help you set it up?
so Zoom is accessible for everyone, basically.
You don't have to download the app for Teams. You can go on as a guest, because I know we use it through work as well.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, you don't have to have the download. But does that make it more complicated for public to attend versus Zoom?
Yeah, I think overall it would. Like, to me, Zoom is pretty straightforward for most people. It's kind of like you don't need anything to other than a webcam. Oh. Oh.
I can go that way.
Oh, you can call in as well. We can get it. It's just like a 1-800 number that you call in. I can provide you with that. You would just be like on the phone, and everyone else would just hear you through the meeting.
Oh, no. Well, you can hear me.
Yeah, just wouldn't see you. But
But I meant even with my Zoom.
oh, okay. So you're the same thing then, I guess. Okay.
Does the municipality have any cameras that we could loan out to Colleen for this period?
That's okay. I don't mind doing it on Zoom.
Oh, okay.
I'm not against.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have.
So we just won't see you? Yeah.
I like the idea for committees to do it, because Tom, you and I spoke the other day. I can't speak for myself. This week alone, this is number 6 with a different group every time. And, and I can't go see my grandchild on Thanksgiving because I'm supposed to keep my circle small, but I've been exposed to all of you 6 times over this week. Mary.
Okay. So let's say do we want to say just for November's meeting, and then we'll discuss again in November? Do we want to say for the winter period, we will have Zoom meetings? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
Maybe we could reevaluate it in April in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
And then by that time, God willing, things will be quite a bit better.
Because the public can still join in at Zoom as well. So if somebody wants to come as a delegation, you
Yep.
just send them the link and
Yep. Okay, then what we'll do say is that we'll continue with the second Friday then of every month. So it'd be November 13th at 10 a.m. on Zoom, and Tom will send up the link for that. Okay, all right. So I guess all that's left to do is adjourn the meeting. Anyone wish to adjourn? Linda got there first. It's always Mary. Linda first, Colleen seconded. All in favor? All right. Thank you, everybody.